Hello, welcome everyone. This is Susan Lopresti, and I'm so excited and grateful to have you here with me today. I'm especially excited today because for the very first time since I started my podcast, I have my first guest with me on my podcast. And Lori is someone who I met online through some mutual programs that we did together. And I find her very, very interesting. And I thought that you would really enjoy hearing from her. So I'm going to start by giving you a short bio about Lori and what she's all about. And then we're going to get right into it. So Lori Lehan is a Massachusetts-based spiritual medium, an angel card reader, Reiki master, and upcoming podcaster. Acclaimed for her work in spiritual mediumship and holistic healing, Lori's career has spanned over 15 years of training and a lifetime of empathetic knowing. Lori uses her passions and her abilities as a way to serve the community through personal messages rooted from spirit. She loves to make a difference in her work and is active in using guidance, patience, advice, and vulnerability as a starting point to help others begin to heal. Lori has had a knowing for as long as she can remember. Her intuitive abilities have continued to grow since childhood and became more acute after a neck injury from a car accident in 2007. It wasn't until midlife that she began to better understand and recognize the premonitions as being her purpose in life. She has trained with Reverend Rita Berkowitz, as well as attended numerous workshops with Tony Stockwell, John Holland, and Joe Shield. She has most recently trained with the renowned motivational speaker, Kathy Heller, and that's how I met Lori. Lori is the president of the First Spiritual Church in Quincy. She has served all of the New England spiritualist churches for many years. Lori is available for private and group readings via in-person or Zoom, as well as various spiritual fairs that are located in New England. You can also find her on Instagram. Check out her podcast, Whispers of Hope and Healing, coming soon to all streaming platforms. So without further ado, Lori, thank you so much for being here with me today. I'm so grateful to have you. And I'm very excited because you're my very first guest on my podcast. And I'll tell you one of the reasons why I chose to have you on the podcast was the fact that you really didn't recognize or accept your gifts until you were already in midlife. And I find that this happens with a lot of women up until they get into midlife. And I just wanted to ask you, like, why do you think it took so long? Or was it that you're just so busy with your life that you really didn't have time to tap into it?
I think it's great to be here, Susan. Thank you
I'm
for having
happy to
me.
have you.
And regarding your question, I was a single parent, so I spent the last 20 years raising my kids. And I worked full time, so I didn't really have a lot of extra time to really delve into it. But I also feel I didn't know I was a medium until I was like early 40s, I would say. And I just feel like as mediumship is healing, it helps heal people.
Right.
Um, and I feel like I probably needed the experiences that I had prior to midlife to be able to use those experiences to help others in the work that I do, both healing and mediumship.
Right. Okay. So what I know you said, and I read in your bio that you had knowing very early, but can you recall like how young you were? Like, were you 2 or 3 years old or a little bit older than that?
I think I was a little bit older. I will say that I always had a fascination with angels, and I didn't know why, and I didn't grow up in a family that was like real religious, or there'd be no reason for me to feel that way, but I always loved angels, and I never really knew if they were real or not as a kid. And I just loved angels. I always had to have angels like in every room, and I have sisters that kind of made fun of me because of that. Um, so probably the angels were watching over me. I just didn't know it as a child.
Right.
Um, because I didn't really have experiences as I mentioned, I had this knowing. I always had a knowing. And that was like I'd want to give somebody a message. I'd want to maybe speak to you, a complete stranger on the street, and tell you something. And I didn't know why. And then I
Oh,
just thought I was kind of weird. So I shut down like probably my late teens, and it didn't come up again really until I realized that I was a medium. And the
so
medium,
were those feelings like almost like an intuition that you would get in a
yes,
way? Like, I just want to tell that person whatever.
yes,
So it wasn't a scary feeling for you. Like, you weren't frightened by these um
no,
feelings that you were having, were
no,
you? No.
no. But the
Okay.
messages, I realized later now as a medium that I was actually giving people messages from spirit. And when you receive those messages, it's like truthful information. So
Yes.
I remember being in college and one of my roommate's friends dating this guy that I just knew he wasn't good for her. And I'm trying to tell her he's not good for her. And of course she didn't want to hear that. So it was that kind of a knowing I'd get this intuitive
Right.
feeling like good or bad, and feel like I need almost like I need to warn people sometimes.
Right. Right. But were you second guessing yourself? Like, would you say, I don't know, should I tell her that this guy is no good for her?
Yes,
Or were,
yes, yes.
yeah, you were, right. Until you really got comfortable with the idea that you had something that was real and not just your imagination, I guess. Because
Yeah,
I would second guess my thoughts,
yeah.
like that. I know that.
But I did second guess it then at that time.
Yeah.
It wasn't until I was older, midlife, like I said, and got into realized I was a medium. But even when I had that knowing, you've asked like um, I'd get synchronicities.
Right.
If you know what a synchronicity is, like you're thinking about, should I do this? And the truck drives by that says, just do it.
Yeah.
Or you're thinking about something, somebody, and then you see a license plate and that the numbers or letters relate to the person you're thinking about.
Yeah.
Like that used to happen to me all the time.
Yeah.
I had the one time when ATMs were new, the kiosks out in like a parking lot. So
Yes.
Bank of America was like one of the first ones in our area that had those. And I remember I was driving to go get money out of the machine, and I cut my finger in the car. It was just a paper cut, but it was enough that I was thinking, I wish I had a Band-Aid. And I know I didn't have any Band-Aids with me. I got to the kiosk and I went to put my card in. And as I put the card in, the frame around where you put your card in, there
Yeah.
was a tiny little shelf, like an inch wide. And right there was a Band-Aid in the sterilized package. And so I was like, this is crazy. And
That,
those things like happen to me all the time.
oh my God, that's so crazy. Like, someone heard you and placed it there.
Yes.
There you showed up.
Yep.
So those were like your signs, even as a kid. Like, were you hearing distinct voices, or was it just like this feeling of knowing, like, that I want to tell this lady whatever? Or did you actually hear a voice or see a vision of some kind? Did you do any?
No,
No.
no. More it was intuitive. It was more
Yeah.
intuitive. But my grandmother lived next door to us. We lived in a duplex growing up. And my grandmother used to have premonitions and that things would happen. Like she had a dream one night that she was seeing a fire, and she got up in the morning, early in the morning, and she looked out, and my brother had a tree house in the backyard and it was on fire because they had been
Wow.
playing with matches.
Wow.
Yeah. So she used to have premonitions, and it actually runs on my mother's side of the family. And once I learned that I was a medium, then my mother opened up to me and told me, she said that sometimes she'd feel somebody tapping on her shoulder in the morning to wake up. And she always felt it was her father that was there. But
Wow.
prior to that, like nobody in the family, I feel like the black sheep, like no one else is into this, just me.
Right. Right. Do they see you as like weird, your family, in a way?
Probably.
No, because if someone doesn't believe, like they think
Mhm.
like, oh yeah, she's.
Yeah, I'm sure. Well, yeah, I'm
They
sure.
don't say it to your face anyway, right?
Either get the blank stare or,
Right,
but I
right,
feel like I just keep talking. I don't care. I don't care what people think. It's like, this is who I
right,
am, why I have this gift. I don't know. There's a reason I have it. I feel like it's meant for me to go out and do my healing work. And,
right.
both my parents have passed in the last 5 years. My father passed 5 years ago. My mother, it'll be 2 years in a couple days. And when they each passed, there was all kinds of signs that came that my siblings couldn't deny. So,
Oh,
my father sent ladybugs. Like the moment he passed, I walked into he died at home, walked in the kitchen, there was a ladybug on the light. And then, each one of the siblings would message me saying there was ladybugs all over the place.
wow.
So, and that day, we didn't know he was going to pass that day. I had been out apple picking with my kids, and my daughter was very close to my father. And we were out in the orchard, and all of a sudden, a ladybug landed on her hand, and she said, "Oh, it's Grampy. It's a sign from Grampy." And then we had no idea, like I said, that he was sick enough to pass. And a couple hours later, my mother messaged me and said, "You better come. Your father's not doing well."
Oh, wow.
So he kept sending those ladybugs. And even a few weeks later, I worked in the computer field. We had training from this outside vendor who
Yeah.
came in, and he had all these PowerPoint slides. And on the edges of all the PowerPoint slides were ladybugs. I couldn't believe it. I was like, ladybugs everywhere. So,
That's crazy. I don't know. I think I might have told you this story when we spoke the last time, but when my dad passed, he was very sick, and I went to sleep that night. I was sleeping in the living room,
mhm,
and I felt this wind come over my head, and it actually woke me up. And I smelled his cologne because he used to
mhm,
always wear Old Spice.
yeah,
And I woke up and I looked to see like if the windows were open, like why did I get this breeze? But how would I explain the smell of Old Spice? I mean, there were no men in my apartment. It was me and
yeah,
my daughter, and
yeah.
we were both asleep. She was in the other room, and I was sleeping on the sofa in the living room. And I absolutely know, I
Mhm,
mean, that was him, that he came and either wanted me to know that he was okay
yep,
or some, I don't really know what the message was, but I clearly know that he was there. And I don't think that I have that knowing. And I'm going to ask you about that in a moment. But another time that he came to me in a dream
mhm,
was when I was in the process of getting divorced. And I had this dream that my ex-husband was in front of me and we were crossing like a major highway, let's say.
mhm,
It's called Queens Boulevard in New York, but it's a major highway. And my ex was in front of me crossing the street, and I was crossing, and I was holding like a big board,
mhm,
and it was windy, so I was struggling to get across the street, and he wasn't helping me to manage this big piece of board. And I felt like someone touched my lower back. And in my dream, I turned around and it was my dad, and he didn't say a word. He just like guided me across the street. And I never remember dreams, by the way, so that
yeah,
was unusual in itself. And
mhm,
when I woke up, I just thought that that message said, don't worry, it's going to be very easy to get divorced. Like it's going, like, and he just guided me. And
yeah,
honest to God, I had the easiest divorce in the history of divorces. I
yeah,
swear.
well,
And so I feel like there is a part of me that does maybe have a little bit, but I don't. So I asked you about the first signs. And then I also like, so spirit didn't scare you in any way when you were a child, right? Like you
No,
didn't actually see outlines of spirit or
no,
no, right.
no. I'd have recurring dreams, but a lot of those dreams were, they were real, they felt like real life. Almost
Uh-huh.
like, I felt like it wasn't like a scary dream. It was just like I was playing with the kids in the neighborhood out in the woods, and it looked like a familiar place. Like, so when I was in that dream, I felt like it was just it was real, but in reality, it didn't exist. The places that I went to didn't really exist. But I
Uh-huh.
did, when you think about it, I used to dream that I could fly a lot as a
Oh,
kid. Literally would just jump into the air and I could soar just the way a bird can soar on the heat vents, like right over the telephone poles. I remember that, like, so often I would dream that.
and you know what's interesting? I used to dream that I was trying to run and I couldn't run. Like I was running away from something, but I just couldn't get the momentum to get
Mhm.
off the ground and start running. So you had that, and so I wonder what that means. Did I feel stuck? Maybe I felt stuck in my life. It could have been when I was married. I don't even know.
Maybe you were afraid to fly.
Yeah,
I don't know.
I
So
don't know.
spirits, you mentioned your father coming to you in that dream. The easiest way for spirit to come through to you is in dreams.
And
Because
dreams.
when we're sleeping, we're at a different energetic level, and it's
Yeah.
easier for them to connect with us. And so with your father kind of pushing you or helping you across the street, it was like he was giving you the wind beneath your wings, if you will,
Yes.
to get through that process. And he came through to let you know that really is you say it's a dream, but it really is him coming through in a
I
visit
felt that it was.
and
I
letting
felt
you
that it
know
was.
that he's helping you get there
Yes.
safely.
Yes.
That was his message to you in that.
Yes.
Yeah.
So even if someone doesn't have the ability, you still are able, because clearly I was able to get that message. And I interpreted his, without him saying a word, he just put his hand on my lower back and helped guide me. And that to me was the message, like, it's
Mhm.
going to be easy and it's going to be okay. And
Yeah.
it helped me in my divorce because I kept thinking back to that
Mhm.
memory that I had, that dream, or
Yeah.
I call it a dream, but I think it was really him talking to me, and
Yes.
it was crazy
We
and
all have, yeah,
scary, not
yeah,
scary.
yeah. I mean, we're all intuitive. So we all have that connection. We're all energy, quantum physics, everything's energy. So we're still connected, even when they're not physically here anymore, they're still energetically, they're still here with us, watching over us, helping us. You call
Right.
them in, they're coming in. Sometimes people say, I don't see signs, but the signs are always there. It's looking, noticing. Sometimes they're very subtle, sometimes they're blaring,
Right.
you know.
So if we're all energy, I mean, I'm a Reiki healer also, so I know about energy, but um, so can anyone really develop this skill? Like if I wanted to be a medium, is there a way for me to open up these channels to receive, or it
Yes.
has, there is?
Yeah, I think so. Yeah. I actually teach mediumship, the beginner level. So it's
Oh,
fascinating to see someone that says, I've never done this once. And they do a reading. They can do a reading that's, yes, it might not be lots of detail, but they get some of the basic information, and it's phenomenal to see it. It's amazing. So
now do you do that virtually, that teaching, like on Zoom or anything?
I'm going to be setting up a class on Zoom soon, very soon.
Oh,
Um,
oh, that's
it'll be
great.
put on my website. Yeah.
I'd like to
Uh,
put that on my blog, to on my podcast so that people know about that.
okay. Yeah, that'd be
Yeah,
great.
very cool.
Yeah.
So you
Um,
feel that anyone could really tap into that?
oh yes, definitely. The first thing would be to do meditation. Because when you meditate, well, if you sit in the power, it's called sitting in the power.
Yeah,
That charges basically your spiritual battery. And you're connecting when you sit in the power, you're connecting to source, the highest power. to God, whatever it is you call that. And you're energizing yourself, but then also doing meditations, guided meditations where you can connect with what we call communicators, which is the people that are in spirit. There's tons and tons on YouTube, all kinds of meditations that you can do. And if you meditate every day, you will start to have a shift and feel the presence of spirit. Because when I learned Reiki, my Reiki teacher would say, you should meditate every day. And when I did that, I had so many, I still didn't really know I was a medium. I had so many visits from spiritual. I'd feel like someone's standing next to my bed. I feel like, and my teacher would say, oh, invite your guides to come with you, go shopping and this and that. So one night I said, if someone's here, show me a sign. And I got into bed. I was facing in towards the middle of the bed. And
Yeah.
within 30 seconds, somebody tapped me on the shoulder. And that scared me because I was like, oh, okay. You can be here. Don't touch me again.
Keep your hands to yourself.
Yeah. Yeah.
Do you have any idea who that could have been? Was it like maybe someone, an ancestor of yours or anything?
It was my grandfather, but I didn't ask at the time.
Right.
That's the other thing is if you feel like there's somebody around you, people say, oh, I felt like there was a woman in my house or wherever. Ask who it is. Just say, who are you? Why are you here? And see if you get any information back, if you get any kind of a telepathic knowing.
Yeah.
What they're doing.
My daughter has had that experience. She has an uncle of hers who passed away young. And she told me one night, I wasn't home, and she told me that she saw a shadow on the wall. And then the shadow like peeked into her room. And she said, I didn't get scared, and I knew who it was. She said she knew that, and she was trying to locate his son because they're the same age. And so she had been doing like a lot of like looking up his mom and trying to find out where they moved to. And sure enough, they ended up not too long after that shadow situation, she found her cousin, his son. So that was interesting.
Yeah. It's funny that she said she wasn't afraid too.
She wasn't.
Because I do feel like the younger generations now, they're not afraid. They're not, it's almost.
Well, she was about 20 when that happened. It's been a couple of years ago now. So she was, and she really, he's her only first cousin.
Oh.
So she has a lot of second and third cousins, but no first cousins, only this one. And they're almost the same age. And she really wanted to connect with him. And she ended up being able to. And she feels that his dad was in the house that day.
And brought them together.
That's pretty cool.
Yeah.
So do you see it as a gift? Like, because I think it's a gift. Do you feel like it's a gift that you have that you want to share with others?
Yes, I definitely feel it's a gift. As I mentioned, I feel like when you're doing mediumship or you're healing, you're helping heal people. There's a lot of times, maybe you couldn't be with the person when they passed, or there were words left unsaid. I mean, someone could have passed away today, they could have passed away 30 years ago. And people are holding on to all of that. And as soon as you can prove the continuity of life and prove that their spirit is still alive, it just gives so much. It gives closure, it gives healing. And when you see that with somebody, you realize why the work is so important. And you can't worry, because there's plenty of people that don't believe in mediums. They think it's all fake and you're making these things up. You can't worry about that. You just have to do the work and know what, you're doing what's right in your heart.
Right.
Best for others.
Well, I grew up Catholic, and I don't practice like a Catholic religion. I don't go to church or anything like that. But I remember hearing that it's against the Catholic religion to actually talk to a medium or have them do a reading for you. And of course, because I'm a nonconformist in every way, I've been to plenty of mediums and I had a big party in my house, like a reading party in my house.
Yeah.
And I wanted to talk to you about that because the medium that came, she was well established and been doing it for a long time, but she brought a friend with her who was just beginning to develop this gift. So Sandy thought it would be a great idea to bring her along. And I had 13 women in my house and we were sitting around. And this lady, I would say after 20 minutes, she told Sandy that she can't stay. She says, I feel like everything is coming at me at once. Like the energy was too much for her. And she went outside and she waited in the car until Sandy was done with the readings. But Sandy had said that as you get more into it and, it's a bigger part of your life, you're able to tell spirit that you don't want them right now, or you can set boundaries with them. And
Yes.
she wasn't able to do that at that point.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah. So when I first started doing mediumship, the same thing happened to me, that spirits just start coming in randomly from all over the place, and they don't really belong to anybody in particular. You don't know unless they can tell you. And for
Right.
me, I had a lot of children that were coming to me, so it was kind of upsetting that, they'd come through and I'd say, well, am I going to run into your mother, or like, do I know you? Which I usually didn't know these kids.
Right.
So yeah, you have to set boundaries, because you also can get physically sick if you're constantly just doing the work and not clearing yourself and not doing self-care, which is shutting down the energy. Then you can get physically sick, which I know
So
a few people that's happened to.
how do you cleanse yourself?
There's different ways. Well, through meditation.
Like saging yourself or something like that?
You could do that. It's you kind of work that connection with spirit, so
Okay.
that I literally just say to spirit, okay, I have reading on Sunday at 7 o'clock. Don't come in. Like you said, you set the boundaries with them so that they know not to come in unless you're working.
Right. Oh, yeah.
Yeah, but you can
It's like
shut off.
calling someone on the phone. Now's a good time to talk to you, but maybe another time is not.
Yes.
You're setting boundaries and
Yeah.
they respect that apparently, right? So
Yes. Because if you're doing what's called platform, so if you're at a spiritualist church and you're the medium, you're going to be giving it like readings to people in the audience. In the beginning, I used to call it, communicators, which is the people in spirit. I'd call them in like early in the week because I'd be afraid, what if no one shows up on Sunday? These people would come in, I'd be taking notes, and it got kind of crazy. It's kind of, then you just feel like you're constantly doing a reading, versus now I'm like, okay, I don't do any of that. I'm like, don't come in Sunday at 11, show up. I'll be there. We'll be ready to go.
Wow, that's very cool. Do you
So,
feel like drained out after you do something like that? Like with a lot of people, does it drain your energy in a way?
yeah, the longer you work, it does
Yeah.
kind of deplete your energy. So yeah, typically, you're only going to read so many people in that hour,
Yeah.
because it ends up, it's too much. You couldn't do it all day. It's
Right.
I think it's impossible.
I find that with Reiki too, like if I do a group of people, I feel like by the end of the session, I'm drained from it. Like I need to cleanse in some way. And so I usually will sage myself before and after doing Reiki, and
Yeah,
also then my house as well. And I
yeah,
feel like like sometimes starts to feel heavy in a way.
yeah,
And so
yeah,
it seems to work for me.
yeah. When you
Um,
mentioned the Reiki, I do shower myself with Reiki whenever I do my work. I'll shower myself with Reiki at the end, and then I call in Archangel Michael, who's a
uh-huh.
protector. He's got a big sword, and I ask him to cut any cords that don't serve me. and then disconnect. So I disconnect from like everybody I've worked with and send that out to the
Right.
be transmuted,
Oh, yeah, that sounds good.
and that clears too.
Yeah, it's a good point. Yeah. Um, so you did say that you believe that we all have the capability to tap into spirit.
Yes,
Um, and you said meditation is probably the first step
yes,
leading to that. And I guess really wanting to is also, but although for someone who wants to, maybe, but you didn't have this that you wanted to be a medium. It just came to you. But I feel like it's really your calling. So you were in the computer business for over 30 years, but
yes.
I'm sure that what you did in the computer business doesn't feel like your life purpose as much as this does. Am I right?
Oh yeah, definitely,
Yeah.
definitely.
Like that was a job.
Right. That was a
Yeah,
job and I was good at it, so I did that. That was my career,
right.
basically. But also, until I realized I was a medium, I never even heard of spiritualist churches. I didn't never heard of spiritualism as a religion. I didn't know anything about that. I didn't have anybody in my surroundings, friends or family or anybody that was involved in that. And now
Mhm.
that I do belong to a spiritualist church, I'm amazed at like some of the people have been into this. They've learned about it back in like the 1970s. And I'm thinking 1970s, I was still like just a kid riding my bike in
Yeah,
the neighborhood, you know?
me too.
They were already doing this work. And why? I mean, I was baptized Congregationalist. I was raised as kind of a kid Episcopal. And then as an adult, once I went to college, there was always a Catholic church on campus. And then when I got married, I converted to Catholicism, but none of those religions ever, I never felt right about any of them. I'm like, I don't know. I just don't believe. I don't believe in confession. God's
No,
within us. You know, they know what we're doing every second of every breath we take. I don't need to
right,
tell somebody what I did. And spiritualism is a religion of personal responsibility, which means, always to be nice to people, have that integrity
right. Yeah.
versus going out and doing things you shouldn't be doing and then getting, saying some prayers and then it's
Yeah, and you're
actually,
absolved and it's good.
yes,
Okay,
yeah,
now you could receive communion, they will tell you.
right. But,
I was never, I mean, I went through, I received communion, I did confirmation, I was baptized. So, and I did the same for my daughter. I brought her up as Catholic, but um, yeah, I feel like there's more to religion than going there. It's about who you are as a person and how you treat people.
Mhm.
And I don't feel that I ever need to go to confession because I don't do anything that's bad that I need a priest to forgive me for that. So,
Right.
and that's why my father always said that I was a nonconformist, and I am. But yeah, I find it very, very interesting. And I mean, I believe in it wholeheartedly because the messages that I've gotten from mediums that I've gone to who they would not know some of the things that they told me. There's no
Mhm.
way that they would know,
Yeah.
so I find that interesting. So what else did I want to ask you? So how has it changed your life?
Um, it's changed. My life is like, I don't want to say like a 360, but it's very different than it was prior to me learning um, that I was a medium. I've always done volunteer work and, pretty much my whole life. I've always liked to help people and make a difference for other people. And I learned that cancer patients were receiving Reiki for pain management. And so I always wanted to learn Reiki. I didn't really know that much about it, but I said, I want to learn Reiki.
Yeah.
And then once I learned Reiki and I put my hands on people, I was getting visions. And the visions turned out to be people in spirit. And it was around the time that Natalie Holloway disappeared in
Oh,
Aruba,
yes.
high school girl. It was probably a couple of weeks after that, there was a Reiki share, and a Reiki share people that are attuned to Reiki get together and practice on each other. And I was working on this guy, and I saw this beautiful girl with the long blonde hair, and I kind of joked with him because I didn't know what I was doing. I'm like, "Oh, you gonna meet somebody? Do you know this person?" And he didn't know, but after, like later, I realized I think that was Natalie Holloway. Because
Wow.
then the next person I worked on was a woman, and I said, "Oh, you feel very airy," and she said she does astral travel, which is you can travel. That's something, a whole other topic. But when I put my hands on her, I was seeing an island. I was seeing a windmill. I was seeing a beach with really long, skinny boats. And in Aruba, there's a windmill restaurant, and they do have those like long, thin boats that you'd see in the islands. And so I think that was all part of, she was probably trying to show me things on the island or somehow
Yeah.
information to me. I'm not sure. But yeah, so then after that, I always followed Sylvia Brown. I loved her.
Yes.
And she had a big event in Boston, and it was probably, 1,000 people at least. And John Holland was there, and he was a new medium out of Dorchester, which is just, it's a part of Boston.
Uh-huh.
And he was there. And then I went to one of his events, and he was there with Brian Weiss, who does past life regression. And they gave a few readings out to the crowd, but there was like 500 people. He said, if you don't get a reading today, there's plenty of spiritualist churches in the area. And he started naming them. And he named Rita Berkowitz, who was sitting right behind me. And so that's how I ended up going to the spiritualist church. And, the minute I walked in the door, I'm like, wow, I've waited all of this, my life for this. This is like, I'm home. And
I
I was early 40s. I would say like maybe 42.
Wow.
So,
So this is crazy, but I've never heard of a spiritualist church.
yeah. So they're very common over in England. They're like one on every corner. But
Really?
here is less. In Massachusetts, we have about 6 or 7, I would say.
Is that
Yeah.
what you would Google? Like if I want, so I live in Queens, New York. I would
Yes.
Google where is there a spiritualist church near
Yeah.
me?
Yes.
And so what makes it like obviously it's not like the Catholic Church where there's, you sit, you stand, you kneel, you I'm
So,
interested in that. I never heard of that before.
oh yeah. Um, so basically the services typically are about an hour and a half. In the beginning, we do healing. We do hands-on healing. So you
Uh-huh.
can come and sit and have healing. Um, and there's usually, maybe 6 or 8 people that are doing healing on people.
Is
And
it Reiki? Is it Reiki that they're doing?
it's whatever. I mean, there's different modalities
Oh
besides.
yeah.
So it's whatever healing modality that they're attuned to.
Yes.
Um, so that you can get the healing, and then there's a medium at every service, and the medium does the lecture or the address, we call it. And they talk about something inspirational that's usually related with this. We print the principles. That's called the Declaration of Principles, and we go by 9 different principles, which is, like as I mentioned, we believe not only is there life after death, but it can be proven through mediumship. We believe in the natural laws. The natural laws constitute true religion. Um, there's a bunch of them, so that's what we believe in. But the medium, so they do their talk, maybe 10 minutes.
Mm-hmm.
And then the last half hour or so of the service, they give readings. So they'll give a reading to 5 or 6 people.
Oh
Typically.
wow.
Yeah, and that's every service. So you go to any spiritualist church, that's what they'll be giving readings to
I'm
people.
going to find one here and
Yeah,
check
I'm
it
sure there's
out.
got to be some in the city.
Oh yeah, without a doubt, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's very interesting. So is there anything else that you want to share or let us know about in some way? And
Um,
or did I leave out anything? How can people? Oh, well, I wanted to, and I'll put it also in the show notes, but how people can find you and how they could, get a reading from you. So, well, I'll get it from you when we're off,
yeah,
your web address, and I'll put all of that in the show notes and your email address if someone wants to schedule a reading with you.
okay, that'll be
Yeah.
great. Yeah. So we didn't talk. you would ask me about like public demonstrations, like how did I get into public demonstrations and how did I get
Yes.
more of the mediumship? I ended up taking classes. Once I went to the spiritualist church, there's classes offered at the churches. Most churches do typically have classes on mediumship, so you can learn it. As we say, everybody's psychic. Not every medium is psychic, but not every person that's psychic is a medium. But I believe you can take classes and learn some level, like anything.
Hmm.
You can learn how to develop that. And what happened usually in our church is the students in the summertime, they're the ones that do the services. So you get to see the
Oh.
students, what they've learned throughout the year.
Oh, wow.
And that was how I ended up doing public demonstrations, because I was asked to serve at one of the services. And again, as you mentioned, like the spirits just start coming in unless you learn to control and put
Yes.
boundaries around it. And so the first time I served, I was really nervous. And so I called in a spirit for somebody in at the church. And this, I saw in my mind, I could see this little old man walking up the aisle of the church, kind of hunched over with a cane. And I said to him, "Who are you here for?" He says, "My daughter." And I said, "Well, you're going to sit on the left side or the right side of the church?" He said, "The left side." "Or will she be on the left or right?" He said, "Left." I said, "What does she look like?" And he showed me the color purple. And I
Uh-huh.
looked around, there was nobody in the church really, like 5 people. And nobody had purple on. I said, "Oh boy, I'm in trouble." And so he kept giving me more information. He was showing me what he did when he was younger. And like a minute before the service started, there's a woman walk in with a purple shirt and sits on the left side. And she sat, it's not a very big church where I am. It's about holds about 50 people. And she
Uh-huh.
sat in the very last row. So to this day, I have no idea who she was. But when it was my turn to get up and give a message, most students usually go indirect, which means they just call in a spirit and then they describe it and hope someone in the audience knows who that is.
Okay.
It's direct. I say, "Can I come specifically to you and give you a message?" And when I selected her, I said, "Can I come to you?" The woman in the back, everybody was turning around like, who is she going to? But it was accurate. It was the woman's father, and he gave me so much information that it was all credible. He was a
Wow.
draftsman. I don't know why. I'm surprised I remember the information, because when you do mediumship, you usually don't remember what you tell people, because
Oh,
you're
really?
not like your brain speaking, it's spirit speaking through you.
Yes.
Yeah. But he loved the Red Sox. They used to go to the ocean when she was a kid, all that kind of stuff. So it was pretty incredible.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow. So do you have a message for me?
So it's funny, you were talking about your father earlier, and I could see him step in. And I feel like he comes in with a woman as well, and the woman's got curly hair. I feel like they're both older. The woman, I don't feel like it's his wife. I feel more like an aunt to you.
Yeah.
She's got curly hair, and she's got very bubbly personality. And she's telling me she was a chatty Cathy, and she was, yeah, she loved to talk. She's saying to me, I always loved a good conversation. But I feel like you would have been very close to both of these people, both the aunt and your father, because
Yeah.
they both are standing to your side and they're like whispering in your ear. And when I get that visual, it's usually because you had a close relationship with them.
Yeah, well, I grew up in Brooklyn and we lived in a brownstone. So there were
Mhm.
5 apartments in this brownstone. And I think you're probably talking about my 2 aunts that lived right below us. I
Mhm.
don't, they both had curly hair, so it could either be Aunt
Okay.
Mary or Aunt Stella.
Now, did one of them wear a set of pearls?
Yes, my Aunt Stella.
So it will be Aunt Stella. She's the one, because she shows me when you were telling me there was 2 women, I said, "Can you differentiate which one you are?" And she showed me a string of pearls that she liked to wear.
Yeah,
I feel like it was costume jewelry more so than real pearls.
maybe.
Not a big, they're big pearls on them.
Yeah,
But she's got quite a personality, and she would be a lot of fun to be around. She would bring the party to the
yeah.
room for people. She was like the person to cheer everybody up and um,
Wow.
always positive.
And that's true. She was like the matriarch of the family, even though my grandmother was also around, but
Mhm.
she really was the glue that held the family together, my Aunt Mary.
Yeah,
That's funny.
yeah. So she comes in with a lot of love for you.
Yes.
And she was showing me she's got like a red sweater on, like it's almost like she's preparing for Valentine's Day, honestly. So I feel like
Ah,
she's sending you lots of red hearts, and she's got the red sweater, and I feel like she liked the holidays, like she would like to.
love them.
She loved to be festive and colorful, is what she's
Yes.
showing me. Um, so she would have whatever color it was for whatever holiday
Right.
it was. It was St. Patty's Day. She's got the green going on. Um, and orange for Halloween. So I feel like she loved the party, the
She
party
was,
of life.
yes, she was very cool. That's nice.
Yeah, very friendly.
So
And
Lori, anything else you want to tell the audience, like where they could find you? Did you start your podcast yet?
no, but I'm going to be starting that
Okay.
very soon. So yes, I'm starting a podcast. It's going to be called Whispers of Hope and Healing. I'm
I
actually
love
writing a
that.
book. It's going out to the editor within the next couple of weeks.
Oh,
And the book is all about my stories of from mediumship and healing, some amazing healings that have happened through Reiki and theta healing I do.
oh,
And
wow.
also stories of mediumship that, hopefully they give some people hope. When you lose a loved one, especially if you're close to them, it's very hard. It's just difficult. Some days are harder than others,
Yeah.
and you try to just feel like, their love is within you and their energy. Like when my mother passed, I swear she gave us her energy when she left because I'm a different person since she passed. And she was one that was always out, she was ready for the next party. Let's go have some fun. And she'd tell me I was kind of boring. And, you know,
And now are you following in her footsteps that you like to be out and having a good
yeah,
time?
yeah. Because even as a medium, I love doing the mediumship. I love it. But it took time getting used to being in the limelight. It's just different, I was in the computer field for 35 years and I sat in a cubicle. So it's very different than being up on a stage in front of like 100 people
Yeah.
and trying
How
to
do
give.
your kids feel about your new career?
Oh, they love it. They both have the gift as well.
Oh,
So they're
are
like,
they cultivating it more, or like are they into it, or they just know that they have it? And
one is and one isn't so much, but I tell them, I said, you don't have to tell somebody you're a medium. You can still give the message and still, help people.
right,
And it's very healing for people.
right.
I mean, you could have someone come in through spirit and they're telling you whatever, and you could share that generically to somebody without, I would never walk up to a random stranger on the street and like, hey, I've so and so with you, I just don't think that's right,
Right, right.
you know. But you could give
Like,
a,
Teresa Caputo, she's
yeah,
from New York. Yeah.
yeah,
I
yeah,
used to watch her show all the time. And
yeah, I
she
did
would
too.
do that. She would be in the butcher or the supermarket and would tap someone on the shoulder and give them a reading. Yeah,
Yeah,
she was cool. I don't see her around that much anymore, but I know she is still around, but I don't
yeah,
think her television show is on any longer. Who
yeah.
knows? Maybe that'll be your next journey after you publish your book.
There we go.
You never know, right, Lori?
Yep, yep. I'm looking
So
forward to it and, helping make a difference for people.
yes, I love it. I absolutely love it. And I'm so happy that you were able to make, to my podcast, and you're my very first guest. And I'm really excited about that. And I hope that everyone who's listening has enjoyed this podcast. I want to thank you, Lori, for taking the time. And I will put all your information where people can find you. I'll get your Instagram handle, your email, your website, and I'll put it in the show notes.
Okay,
And
great. I
thank you so
appreciate it.
much for joining me here today. Really appreciate it.
Thank you, Susan. Thanks for having
Okay,
me.
you're welcome. We'll talk soon.
Yes.
Okay, take care now.
Bye. Many blessings.
Same here.